Joining us now is a hero of the movement for monetary reform, whose last name is not Paul. Filmmaker and documentarian Bill Still, producer of The Money Masters and more recently The Secret of Oz. In 1996, The Money Masters was released, accurately predicting the economic calamities now facing America, a film still relevant to this day and popular amongst students of monetary policy. In his 2010 film, The Secret of Oz, which was released to critical acclaim, winning Best Documentary at the 2010 Beloit International Film Festival, the Silver Sierra Award for Excellence in Filmmaking at the Yosemite Film Festival, and the Silver Screen Award at the Nevada Film Festival. In the film, he explores the allegorical connections between the Wizard of Oz narrative and the movement for monetary reform. Bill, thank you so much for being with us tonight. I really appreciate it.
It's a pleasure.
Now, I saw that you have a unique solution here for the debt crisis, and this is coming out of nowhere for the conversation as it's being played out in Washington. No one is considering your solution. What is it? How do they fix the debt ceiling without incurring more debt?
Well, the current plans on the table being discussed in Congress just won't work. Austerity negatively impacts GDP. Raising taxes negatively impact GDP.
Well, what's your definition of work? Because by their definition, it would be funneling more money from the people to the banksters. So I think they're all really set to work very well, actually.
Well, both government and money should operate in the public interest, but of course we know that that's not the case. So unfortunately, the solution that I offer is nothing new. It's been done many times throughout American history. We're just rediscovering it right now because there's enough pressure, enough pain in the American economy, so we have to do something. Obviously, what we've been doing is not working, and I can guarantee you with the same certainty that the sun will rise tomorrow that what Congress is doing now will not work, and this American economy will continue in a slow death spiral downwards until we reach the solution that we've reached before in American history.
Okay, so let me guess. You've got this here. May I? Your solution is for John Boehner, Speaker of the House, to stop smoking cigarettes, lose some weight, paint red, white, and blue stars on this, and run around the world and knock out all the bad guys, and then all the banks. No.
Nope.
All right. What's your solution?
The solution is debt-free government-issued money. Money issued in the public interest.
So what's the money that we're being
all
issued
of
today?
Our money today, every dollar in your checking account, with the exception of coins. Sorry, audio man. Every dollar in your checking account is issued as an interest-bearing debt. That's not the way it's always been in American history. You see right there, that's a Federal Reserve note. It has the green seal. Maybe you can hold it up. I forgot to bring mine.
All right, everybody knows where that is on the dollar.
Right,
on the right
it says
side.
Federal Reserve note across the top.
Federal Reserve note.
100 years before that, we created another type of debt-free money called U.S. notes. It has U.S. note across the top instead of a green seal.
And it has a red seal. Yes.
That's money without debt. In fact, U.S. notes are still in circulation today. They're still legal tender. However, they have not been renewed since 1994, so they're going out of circulation, but they're still entirely legal tender. President Obama could fix this situation by executive order tomorrow.
Okay, but
the government does not have to borrow.
Because the solution is
sovereign nations can issue their own money without debt. We don't have to have a national debt. We don't have to borrow money. This is ridiculous. It's just a political ploy. It's a kabuki theater.
And we don't need the Federal Reserve System.
No, designed to disguise the fact that the bankers are in control of the Congress. The bankers are essentially in control not over only the American economy, but the political system as well.
Okay, and I'm looking at the quarter. United States of America, e pluribus unum, quarter dollar, liberty, and God we trust, 1994. Nothing here about the Federal Reserve.
Nothing about a Federal Reserve note. No, it's money issued without debt. That's why we could pay off the entire national debt, the entire deficit, in quarters.
Okay, that would be a lot of quarters, wouldn't it?
Yeah, well, to pay off the entire national debt, all 14.4 trillion, it would take about 12 million tractor-trailer loads. So not very practical, but we could use
at
US
least it would be good
notes.
for the trucking industry if our federal government made all these quarters and then dumped them at the banks, right?
We could probably employ all the unemployed at the U.S. Mint creating these quarters, but it would be a little bit easier just to issue U.S. notes or their electronic equivalents.
Okay, so your real point here is to show that we already have the mechanism right here of creating debt-free currency.
Perfectly
and
legal,
instead
perfectly
we're doing
constitutional.
this, and we're talking about this. It could be in paper, As long as it doesn't say
not even
Federal
paper,
Reserve note.
in electronic
Electronically.
equivalents.
It could come out of the Treasury
The point
instead of
is
coming
that when
from the
people
Federal
see
Reserve.
quarters, you know, they start to understand that, yeah, there's another way to do this. We don't have to borrow. We don't have to incur a national debt. This is a ridiculous thing.
Okay, now there is a bit of a downside to this, though, because you are suggesting something that would cause a devaluation of the dollar by
Absolutely
the creation of
not.
all this money.
Absolutely not.
No threat of
as the new
inflation?
you trade off U.S. notes for these, one for one, and as that happens, you proportionally raise bank reserve requirements. What does that mean? Banks can no longer practice fractional reserve lending. What does that mean? Banks would only be able to lend money they actually have, which is exactly the situation that everybody out there in TV land thinks is going on, but is not going on.
Okay, wow, you just opened this up. Now we need a documentary to explain all of this. Oh, that's really amazing. So there's a little more to it than just the creation of all this money and saying that we can make quarters. But it's a way of making the point that we don't need the system that we're now. What's a good website for people to learn more about this plan that you've come up with?
BillStill.com.
BillStill.com. Outstanding. So what do you think how are they able to get away?
Easy.
How are they able to keep this little secret here?
How can they keep this secret?
With all the debt talks, with all the distractions,
Good question.
with all the crap that's flying in D.C.
Because every major TV network in the United States, and really around the world, is completely in the thrall of these banks. They're all mortgaged out to the max, just like every American is mortgaged out to the max in their home mortgages. I have two friends who were recently cut from one of the top three-letter networks in this country, and they were told specifically by J.P. Morgan, I shouldn't mention the name, but I already have, so it's too late, that unless this network cut their top tier of executives, they would not roll over their loans, and the network would be folded the next week. The banks are in control, complete control, of the American news media, at least at the top levels of television news. The TV news will not dare have me on. They will not dare breathe a word of the fact that all of our money is created out of debt. They will not dare breathe a word that we do not need a national debt. We do not need a national deficit. We can pay off all of this debt with debt-free money without any inflation. Inflation is merely controlling the quantity of money. If you control the quantity, you don't have the inflation. If that's all we have to do, have an honest look at inflation to get out of this problem, don't you think that we can do that somehow?
Absolutely, and here we dare, and we do appreciate you coming on the show. Ladies and gentlemen, Bill Still with the quarters solution. Imagine that. We could make quarters, and that would be it. That's it. That right there, a pile of quarters, 14 trillion, and the debt crisis goes away. BillStill.com.